So we suggest some magic moment to reform schools, which means every kid gets to learn. And yet, there's a thing out here called society. And there's several things we know about society. One, 40 years of research in education in America, 40 years has shown that if you ask what factors influence school success, what are the things that you could do, like small classrooms, experienced teachers, that would make schooling better, make more children succeed. There are a number of factors. They are important. They do work. Now if you ask, what are factors at home that help a child do well in school and that you could intervene in? There's a lot of those, and they work. However, the result we've known for 40 years is that the home factors always swamp the school factors. So that if all you do is talk about schools or school reform and ignore homes and society, you are paying attention to important variables, but the less important variables. Now, today in America, we have a society in which 400 families own 65% of all the wealth in the country, and in which we have, since the recession, eradicated unions, eradicated wages, and eradicated benefits. Our biggest employer, by far, is a company called Walmart, which pays below minimum wage for all practical purposes. But in fact, in America, well over 3/5 of all the jobs do not pay a living wage and have no benefits. So that 50% of Americans are at or near poverty. And the increase in inequality is going on as we speak. It's not like it's stopping. Now, imagine this. You come into a school with your reform, with the technology, and say, I'm going to produce a school where every kid learns deeply, where they all get to participate, and where I get rid of these gaps between rich and poor. You have a society out here who would never accept that school. Right? We keep talking as if a society will accept any school you make up. But we have skill and drill schools obsessed with punitive accountability features because the vast majority of our students will work in low-paid service work, and we have the perfect school system for the society we have. And that's why, by the way, the Gates Foundation, which represents a lot of this stuff, and the society is obsessed now that schools from kindergarten to college prepare people for work. But think what that means. You're saying we want all of our system right through college to prepare people for work when we know that we've just eradicated any good work, except for 1/5 of the people in the country. So I now see, and this is the problem with liberals, not conservatives, is we keep talking about this without talking about this. We play right into the hands of the bad guys. Because then they'll keep saying, great, and do it. Because first of all, they know you're never going to do it because this society would never, they don't want kids who are all going to be able to go to Stanford. Now, that's the same thing. If you take a flipped classroom, there's no point in discussing the flipped classroom without discussing this. Because the flipped classroom could be great, but the Khan Academy, the flipped classroom, the new Common Core standards, all of them sound great until you realize that they're all backed by the Gates Foundation. And they're all part of a larger movement to essentially de-skill teachers. Right? They're a part of a movement with artificial tutors, artificial agents, to essentially say what the teacher would do is be a kind of aid. Right? To turn on the equipment or to monitor, do the homework help for the kid. So we can talk about flipped and say, is there evidence it's good or bad? First of all, we're not going to get that evidence because it's used in many different ways. But also, it could be a thing with great promise, but that promise will not be realized if its goal is to get rid of teachers. So recently in the United States, and I don't know if this has happened in Italy, it'd be crucial to know, we have the biggest and most promising change that has ever happened because we're out of money, and so school districts and states will not take physical textbooks. They're demanding the curriculum on an iPad or a pad. And what's that done is, first of all, it's made the textbook media. And so big media corporations like Robert Murdoch's News Corp now have $100 million education sections. But it also has allowed the possibility, which is happening, for groups of people to crowdsource and customize and make their own curriculum. And it's going to be multimodal, of course. It's media now. Now, that has great potential for change. But think about it. It didn't get, nobody suggested it. The states didn't suggest it for change. They suggested it so they don't have to fund schools and they don't have to have as many teachers, right? And it'll work out either as some big companies will monopolize that the way they did textbooks, or it'll actually open up thousands of people to make their own curriculum, crowdsource it, do it by collective intelligence, including whole schools just to make it themselves. So I'm saying this because I'm an old man now, and I've just sat in too many ed things helping the right-wingers keep the society as bad as it is by pretending that doing this solves this. And also, we exonerate them because we don't, they ask us, well, prove to me teachers are good. Prove to me. And, we should say, well, why don't we talk about you for a while? What you've done to this society, right? Now, I don't know Italy's context. But in America, the context is low-wage paying jobs, inequality, and a tremendous urge to essentially deprofessionalize teachers. Okay, so...
I want to replay the last thing you said.
Okay.
The very last thing you said, which was about crowdsourcing.
Yes.
Right? Remember the last thing you said?
Yeah.
Right. Which was a bridge between this and this.
That's right.
Right.
So
because it's true
that's
that
right.
60 to 70% of the pay is this.
Yeah.
Socioeconomic
That's
background.
right. Yeah.
But are there affordances, right?
There are.
In the new, allow for a blurring of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And the flipped classroom is not that. Right? But
well,
wait, and that's
I think we should ask if anyone at this moment where there are this affordance for customizing digital technology, crowdsourcing it so that it can become owned and participant. That is, as you just said, a conduit out here, and we should talk about everything that way. How do we, even the flip thing, is there a way to use that to mitigate these social effects, make the society accept a new thing for learning? But we also have to say, no matter how good it is it actually getting used that way?
So it's making this porous.
Yes.
Right.
Well, if we do it right.
It's making this porous, but we do know the pressure will always be from this end. Right.
See,
always.
the thing that makes this non-porous in America is a phenomenon. You have it too here because you're in the global. A phenomenon called winner-take-all capitalism. That is the idea. In the old days, when you went to get music, and there wasn't great recordings, you went to your local, whoever was your best singer. Now you can buy a recording of the best singer in the world, no matter where they are. And that's been a long-term phenomena that is just now coming to education. So keep in mind, Bill Gates, the head of the Gates Foundation, the guy who did Microsoft, he has an idea. His idea is, look, why bother to have everybody teach science? MIT is the best science place in the world, and all of their lectures are on tape and are open source. Why don't we just take their lectures and give them to everybody so that everybody gets the best education? See, think of what that would mean. That's winner take all. You won't need any science instructor. Everybody will learn the same thing from the same people. Right? I mean, that is, if you think about it, one of the most profoundly stupid ideas ever expressed. Because to him, and this is why he likes the Khan Academy, to him, the fact that teaching is a personal and interpersonal relationship is oblivion. It doesn't matter. Learning hasn't got anything to do with the fact that we've got two bodies standing here talking. So imagine, though, that we could just remove all science teachers in Italy and get somebody to turn on the television to get the MIT tapes. That's not porous. That's simply saying it's standardize everything, winner take all, and damn everybody else. And then the teacher becomes an aide. So that's my point, that I think the revolution of any group now could do is to really say we've got to reform the whole ball of wax or none of it.